Hey everybody, welcome to the Film Threat Livecast. I'm Alan Ng. I'm in a secret location. And we've got a great show for you today. Sadly, I'll be talking about Velma. We got Pathaan, I think that's how you pronounce it. And let's see. Oh, Infinity Pool, which I saw. We'll get to that one. And I'm sure there's a fourth one. I'm missing something. Oh, and then we do have a very special guest today. So hey, I'm looking for it. Chris is somewhere in the back with his shenanigans going on. And so hey, let's get this party. Hey, Chris Gore.
What are you doing,
like
man?
You like that?
No, it's good. Like, look, I know you talk a lot about your improv comedy, and so I thought I'd give you an opportunity to improv here on a Friday.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
Good.
All right.
Good. Yeah, long week.
Now, have you?
Hey, I just want to say I have an addition for the back there, for the back wall. Just found it. I can't believe I've been looking all over for it, but there it is. My Riva action figure.
Wait, are you joking? Wait. Let me. Okay, show it to us.
Yeah, there it is.
Where did you get that?
It was at Target. It was on the clearance shelf.
For how much?
Oh, I paid $9 for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
one back there.
That's nuts. Well, you said it all at the top. We've got movies to review. You and I both saw Pathaan, which I'm very excited to talk about that one. Virtually Heroes is a little indie action movie that I'll be talking about, but you've seen the last couple episodes of Velma.
Yes.
Like the newest ones that released yesterday.
The last two, the episodes 5 and 6.
Okay, before you talk about it, let's see who's in the chat. And I want to welcome everybody. Hey, it's the Film Threat Livecast here on a Friday, and I'm happy you're spending your Friday morning with us. Morning, afternoon, depends on where you are in the world. So there you go. Spidey Sensei 72 says you overpaid for your Riva action figure.
I know I bought it. The only reason I'm buying this is for the reaction in the chat.
Well, it worked out. You can put it in your newly arranged, beautiful room, which you're gonna paint. And I can't wait because we are going to do a video where we watch paint dry in Alan's newly rearranged room.
Yes.
And then you will be rewarded for changing and doing a rearrangement of your room with a PS5. I don't know when this is going to happen. It might take a month or so, but it's coming. It's coming. Big Jack Gameplay says, I liked Alan in the last few streams, but after buying Riva, I'm reconsidering.
I think the question is, should I take her out of the package, or should I try to see if the value of it goes up and leave her in that pristine condition?
Well, let's let the chat decide. Chat, does Alan open his Riva action figure open or keep it in the box? Box or open? Box or open? So,
Michael!
I don't know why you just said that. All right, back to comments here. Hail chat. Says Jens Anderson of the Tari. John Manilang saw Triangle of Sadness recently. Funniest movie of 2022 for IMO. Is that in my opinion?
Yes.
Yes. I'm still, folks, there's a couple I don't know. TBH, I know what that means. NGL, I know what it means. I'm just going to keep learning these. That captain's dinner scene had me in tears. Yeah, I love that movie. I saw it in a theater with a packed audience, watched it again, at home, and really enjoyed Triangle of Sadness. I don't know if Triangle of Sadness is best picture worthy. I think some movies may have been left out, but that's just me. Big Jack Gameplays. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, see, East Coast is afternoon. Shucksy, I got my poo flavored members badge now. Awesome. Wait, what?
Yeah, I think this is how good we are about the whole membership thing, but I think you get badges as long as you keep renewing each month.
Right. Oh, okay, cool. I love that.
And and we have a poo flavored One.
All right, well, I have like a ton of videos to upload to our members only section, and I know that you're going to be painting your room.
Yeah,
and streaming
and
that.
I'll be
video.
playing The Last of Us when it's all done, and we'll
Just
do that on the member stream.
Just part one. Just
I
part
know.
one. Do
Just
not
part
play
one.
part two. Part one only.
We can mock part two. That's the other thing.
Solomon Thornton doing well. Looking forward to some WWE Royal Rumble this Saturday. That's the only reason you put the. I can tell
it's going to be a good one tomorrow.
I can tell when Alan is starting the chat because it's all chats about Alan, how great Alan is, how much we love Alan, and wrestling. You got to broaden the conversation with the chats that you're highlighting. Ken Bogus, good to see Missing an Infinity Pool today with my AMC A-list. Love Mia Goth, so I'll watch anything with her. Well, Ken Bogus, you're in for a treat. That's all I want to say. You're in for a treat. Mia Goth is unhinged in this movie. She is truly. I try to think to myself, like, well, what other actress could have played this role? And I can't think of anybody. Like, I guess Margot Robbie back when she was like at the beginning of her career, but I can't think of anybody who could have done what Mia Goth did in that film. We're going to talk about it later. Hello all. Hello everyone. All right. That's good. Okay, wait, we've got a super chat here. Let's get to that. Alan Horkin says, I finished cooking an early dinner so I could watch the live stream uninterrupted. Alan, thank you for that dinner. Where are you? You must be in the UK. Let us know, Alan, where you are. And Solomon Thornton says, who's Reva?
We did a whole series of videos on Reva.
I took photos of the Reva action figure when I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I sent a picture of it to Ryan Cannell because I thought he would love it. Wired for $4.99 says, still looking for a producer? What's the best way to contact you? Go to, I will show you in our, it's very easy. We're not looking necessarily for it's someone basically to mod the chat so that Alan and I can focus on what we're talking about. Then we just go to the chat that are starred and designated as chat that we should pay attention to and read. So there you go. But if you go to filmthreat.com/contact, it's very simple. Filmthreat.com/contact, you can contact us and send us. I did just talk to someone who I think might be a very good candidate to help us with the chat, but it really depends on schedule. I think what we might do is let's find 2 people, train them, and then when other people, because look, life comes up, right? Like life comes up. So, I think what we should do is let's find two decent people, 2 people who've got like the flexible schedules, and then we'll go from there. So there you are. Let's see. Wait, I saw Sifax in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Hail Phil FIL. What are you talking about, Sifax?
Who's Sifax?
I don't know if I can reveal Sifax's
name, okay.
But he sat next to me when we watched Infinity yesterday.
Yeah.
So there you are.
I assumed as much.
Okay. A few more chats, and then let's get to Velma. Creepy Dan, I'm streaming you guys in the office today. Hope they don't come to take me away. God, I used to.
By the way, did you know you met? Is it Carlin who got fired from virtual games? You remember that story? The girl the bronies went after her and got her fired.
Right? No, I know the whole story. So Carlin, she worked social media, sort of customer service social media at
virtual games.
No, I've bought games from them. I bought games from them, several games. I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I love it. They do physical copies. It's called Limited Games, I believe.
Limited Games, that's right.
Yeah, and they do physical copies of games where there's only digital available, but they also put out, in addition to that, they put out classic games. And I bought Night Trap and a couple others at San Diego Comic-Con. I followed her story. All she did was like a tweet from J.K. Rowling, and she talked about how she was excited to play a Harry Potter game, and someone went through her entire Twitter history and got her canceled for liking a tweet. This is blown up to now a huge national story. And it actually, I believe the company's located in North Carolina and actually breaks rules. You cannot discriminate against people for their political views. She's never even stated what her political views are. She follows certain Twitter accounts, and she liked some tweets. If this is the standard for letting people go, and by all accounts, because I saw an interview with her on Eric July and also Chrissy Mayer, I saw an interview, and she just seems like I like video games and I like what I like. Yeah. Leave people alone. So what do you know? You're saying I met her?
She said she met you. I mean, if you saw her on Chrissy Mayer, yeah, she talked about you.
What did she say?
When they got into G4, it's just basically Chrissy asked her if she watched G4 or was following G4, and she said that she had actually met you a couple of years ago at some convention.
It was at San Diego Comic-Con. I went to the booth. I was ecstatic that they were, doing these games. All I did was I bought a bunch of stuff, and then one of the I don't think it was her, but someone else at the booth gave me their card and said, "Hey, if you want to do something with us." I don't think I will. I mean, I really feel for this young woman. I hope she lands on her feet, but it's disgusting. Something like that should never happen. And you are free to think the things you think and to like the things you like. And there are already laws in place for a lot of the bad things that people do in the world. And I think that maybe, I don't know if we need new laws for this kind of thing. They're already talking about some scary stuff with regard to speech. And I'm not in favor of it. I'm not in favor of any of it, in particular because Film Threat for a brief period of time, was owned by Larry Flint for about 5 years in the early 90s. He bought the rights to the magazine and owned it. And if you know anything about Larry Flint and his story, the reason we can say the kinds of things about politicians that we can say today is because of a lawsuit Jerry Falwell brought against Larry Flint. And the reason that you can mock public figures in cartoons is because of a court case, and it's fictionalized in the movie The People versus Larry Flint. But I knew the lawyer when I worked there. His name is Alan Isaacman, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and Larry Flint won, and we all won because now we enjoy a lot of free speech freedoms because of the court case against Larry Flint, which he won in the Supreme Court. Now, would he win today? I don't know. It's a very different world.
But he would win in the Supreme Court today, definitely. It's just the tactics have gotten more insidious, more clever, I guess.
Yeah,
that's more legal proof.
That's horrific. Yeah. Well, I only watched part of that Chrissy Mayer interview. I guess I got to go back and watch. I didn't see my name drop, but I was in it. But also sometimes I watch stuff and I'm in the chat and I'm like, I don't want to say anything because sometimes I'll be in the chat, and if I say something, it derails the conversation. I'd rather just observe. So there you go. Alan Horkins says limited run game seems to be in North Carolina, and it seems to be an at-will employment state, so they can fire people for almost anything or nothing. However, there are rules in place about discrimination against people for political beliefs. Look, maybe you can look that up, Alan. Don't make me play the music.
Yeah. I was going to look up something very vague at the moment.
Some super chats here before we launch into Velma. Creepy Dan for 5 says, keep doing what you two do. I appreciate your refreshing honesty and humor. Cheers. Sorry, this only covers the cost of half a beer these days. Haha. Actually, you are right about that.
Oh my God.
I mean, this is why look, if I go out and I'm kind of taking a break from drinking for a while. I just went hard over the holidays, and then there were all of our award shows. And I always feel like I have a terrible rule. Do not do what I do. Okay. I have a terrible rule, which is if the drinks are free, there's no excuse not to drink. And so many of the events that Alan and I attended over the awards season, which is kind of over for us because we're done voting. There's an open bar. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm literally getting a cocktail that if I paid for it in Los Angeles would be $14, but I'll have 4 or 5 of those. I'm Irish. I can do that. Aid Robertson for 449 pounds says, hail to the chat and hail the bloody legend that is Chris Gore and the awesome Alan Ing. I want a t-shirt that says awesome Alan Ing.
Yeah, I want a t-shirt that says bloody Chris Gore.
Bloody. Yeah. Thank you, Aid. I appreciate that. Enrique Girora for 249 euros just sends in a blank space, and I love it. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I was a bear. Mia Goth would make an amazing Harley Quinn for the new DCU. Oh my God. That is no chat. That is, there could not be better casting. With all due respect to Margot Robbie, she's kind of, she's taken that role as far as she can go. Mia Goth embodies, I mean, especially in Infinity Pool, she's kind of channeling Harley Quinn. We'll talk about it. We got to get to movies, folks.
I know. I mean, the accent, I think, might be a problem with Mia Goth.
Creepy Dan, I'm streaming you guys in the office today. Oh, wait, I already said that.
Yeah, we did that one. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Alan, and oh yeah, if you want to contact us, go to filmthreat.com/contact. We are Film Threat on everything. So, just I don't know if you want, if you want to follow us on Instagram, I post on our Film Threat Instagram, I post a movie poster every day. It's like a weird movie poster. It just sort of strikes me as weird or interesting. I love movie posters. That's what our Instagram is. Our Twitter is kind of an alert for a lot of the things that we're doing. We also do have a Facebook. Sign up for our email newsletter. Go to filmthreat.com/newsletter. You'll get a twice weekly newsletter. Let you know when we go live. A lot of helpful information. Like, share, subscribe. I'm just going to do all of these. Like, share, subscribe. Support us. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. You can get the shirt that I'm wearing right now. The Film Threat. It's a Film Threat bat. There's a couple shirts, the new shirts we have that I need to get. I'm dying to get. We've got some new t-shirt designs. If you go to our apparel section, and as Alan likes to remind all of us, Film Threat t-shirts cure nudity on contact. How does Alan know this? All right. Whenever, you know what? I can't even look at a plunger without thinking of Alan.
I can't look at a plunger without thinking of me either.
All right, Alan, let's get right into it. You saw the latest 2. First of all, I haven't even watched one episode of Velma. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a single episode. I'm already sick of this show because I realized as we're going through like the movies we're going to review today, Pathaan, Infinity Pool, Virtually Heroes, Pathaan is an Indian movie. Infinity Pool is like a Sundance film that's now in theaters. These are all like, and then Virtually Heroes is like a low budget, lo-fi, like indie film produced by Roger Corman, starring Mark Hamill. No one's heard of these movies. No one's going to watch. So please, I'm apologizing to everyone watching this, apologizing to
me.
Apologizing to Alan. I never apologize, but I'm going to apologize for this reason. Let me just say this. Or no, not an apology, an explanation. One, the chat voted. They want Alan to review Velma. So I have to listen to the chat. The second thing is that if we put like Infinity Pool as our thumbnail graphic, no one would watch. They'd look at it and go, I don't even know what this movie is. Why would I watch this show? So yes, our thumbnails, the purpose of our thumbnails is to try to get you to watch our live stream. So I hope it's working. But we've got some really good films to talk about today. And we've got a filmmaker interview at the end.
We just have to endure Velma to get to all that.
Well, Alan, I can't wait to hear it. Alan, tell us. And first of all, how you got here, Alan, is that the people voted. The people in the chat voted overwhelmingly. I think it was 53% to 47%.
Yeah. So basically, it was a presidential election.
Yeah. Whenever they say it was a crushing win, it's like, I don't know, like a couple million vote difference is not that crushing percentage wise. It's not like the majority of the country agreed to this. But look, more than half of you did. So, Alan, you saw Velma episode 5 and 6. What do you think? What are the highlights? What happens?
All right. So here's the big question. So I'm not white. Can I just go to Disney or Warner Brothers and just storm in and demand that they give me a TV show, and that I'm free of any executive notes, any creative notes whatsoever? Because I don't know how this show is made, and I don't know how it got greenlit. I think the same thing happened with She-Hulk. It's just, people of color demanding their time and showing their talent, and quite frankly, making an embarrassment of real people of color who have real talent. So let me just get that off my chest. Episode 5 and 6. Episode 5 is basically, it's called the Band Camp School Band Sleepover. Velma needs help getting more clues about the disappearance of her mother. I mean, her mother's kidnapping, and so she needs Norville to help her. But Norville now has a girlfriend in Gigi, and so she needs to get closer to Norville by going to this school band sleepover. And yeah, I know. And then in the meantime, Daphne figures out who her parents are. She meets her parents. And in case you were wondering, her parents are Darren and Carol. Okay. So excitement in episode 5. Okay. Episode 6. Episode 6. Now that Daphne has met her mother and father, Darren and Carol, they now reveal the secret of basically leading up to the Mystery Machine, the Scooby Gang and the Mystery Machine. What is it? It's meddling kids. There was, back in the 60s, all these kids were meddling in the works of the adults, and so through Daphne and Velma's investigations, we find out that the government has been swapping brains, turning meddling kids into super soldiers under the Special Cover Operations Brain Initiative, otherwise known as
what?
Scooby.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I hate the show. So let's just talk about the writing. I keep saying this is a bad improv show, and I'll keep saying it. The show has this philosophy, and this philosophy is derived from sales. Basically, if you throw out 1,000 jokes, one of them is bound to hit. So a bad comedian will tell 1,000 jokes, hoping that maybe 1% of them will hit. But good comedians will just tell the 1% of the jokes that are actually good. And this show just needs to throw out jokes constantly. I think what they did was they developed a basic script and then went line by line saying, okay, here's a line. How can we add some kind of comedy to it? So let's see. I got just a few quotes here. Yeah. So like Fred is in love with Velma, and says he wants to help, and says that he's now a feminist because he read the Feminine Mystique, and she says, "This isn't you thinking I'm related to your nanny again." I mean, there's another thing where he says, "What is it?" I know I almost hate reading these things. Let's see. Oh yeah, he was digging through his dad's office drawer, and he found his men's workout magazines. We're let's see. Velma is, what is it? Yeah. So the show is, it's like I said, it's bad improv. It's someone says something and you have to respond with a bad joke to it. The other thing is the show is wasting all the, the show is trying to include little Easter eggs about Scooby-Doo. For example, we just talked about Operation Scooby. But what they do is they introduce these Easter eggs and do nothing with it. For example, when Daphne meets her parents, they're dressed as Captain Caveman. Why? Well, because we love Captain Caveman, and so of course they have to dress as Captain Caveman, and that's as far as the joke goes.
I used to watch Captain Caveman and Jabberjaw, among others. So
well, hopefully Jabberjaw will appear, and maybe Dino Mutt if we're lucky.
Dino Mutt.
The other, they explain why Daphne has red hair. Finally, why is this Asian girl? Why does she have red hair? It's because her mother smoked during pregnancy. And that's the joke, and that's why Daphne has red hair.
Is that how people get red hair? Is you smoke during pregnancy?
Yeah, and so, like I said, it's just here's what I think happens in the writers' room, and I'm pretty sure this happened at the She-Hulk writers' room. But someone will come up with some inane joke like, "Oh, why does Daphne have red hair? Oh, because her mother smoked. That's a great idea," and then they would high five each other. And I feel like in this writer's room, there's a lot of high-fiving for just really bad, inane jokes. And a lot of these jokes, this idea that Fred's dad has men's fitness magazines in his office drawer, there's no setup for that. They're just saying it to say it. It's not like we necessarily developed this character that developed this idea that Fred's dad was into homoerotic photography. It's just okay. These are basically kids' jokes. When you watch kids' television, it's just a series of dad jokes. But the problem is this show is not for kids. And so why are you telling jokes for kids to adults who you hope watch the show? So this show is not going to get better. There's this mystery of Velma's mother that I don't care about. Who's killing the girls in the school? I mean, you forget all the time that there's a serial killer on the loose. So yeah, I deserve a TV show. I want to write a TV show. Can I? I mean, it doesn't. The qualifications are basically my skin color. So give me a TV show. I'll write it. I will guarantee you it's better than Velma.
I have questions. So that was just episode 5 or episode 5 and 6?
It's
5 and 6. These are the events that transpire. All right. Yeah. Well, I no surprise, I have questions. So is this shows like a prequel to before they get the mystery machine? So we're basically leading directly up to, like just the Scooby-Doo show that we already know.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
There'll be some accident where all the characters turn white and then have a talking dog.
Yeah, like Jack Napier in the 89 Batman. They're all gonna, fall in a vat of goo and come out completely white. That makes no sense. I mean, and also I've heard that Mindy Kaling actually claims that the reviews of this, or the ratings are very high. And part of the reason has to be that people are hate watching this. I can't imagine anyone is watching this because they like it.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the Rotten Tomato scores and they're very low, even the audience score. And it's hard to counter that without, you could blame bots, but I mean, this is kind of ridiculous.
Well, the audience score is the one that I trust. But the critic score is low. Isn't it like 50?
Yeah.
Could you bring it up? Let's bring it up. What the score is. But look, I have no intention of watching it. I haven't watched it. I'm really glad that you're watching it, and I'm glad that the thumbnail may have brought the almost 500 people watching right now.
Oh, hey.
What?
Yeah, 500 people. Welcome.
Yeah, nearly 500. We're closing in on 500. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. And, this has been an episode of I love Alan's Corner. There's Easter eggs
There-
in that, by the way. Okay, so now we're standing at, oh my God, 6% audience score, 44% critic
Yeah.
score. Now the
I'll
44%.
be honest, I kind of call bullshit on Rotten Tomato television critics.
Why is
'Cause
that?
they tend to, I feel like they tend to like everything, and that it's rare that they hate something like Rings of Power. But 44% says a lot that that at least someone's recognizing the quality of it. But that score is way too high.
Well, not just that. I feel like, and we experienced this, right? Like, I don't know that you can fully review a show based on the 2 or 3 episodes that that you get to see first. You've got to look at a whole season. Same thing with Last of Us. I think with The Last of Us, you and I are both cautiously optimistic. I'm really sold. I'm going to continue watching it. And I think with House of the Dragon, we were skeptical, and wow, that that held up. 10 episodes, not every episode's a home run, but as a full season, wow, they got me. Back to loving Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at Kenobi.
Release the
Rotten
world.
Tomatoes gave Kenobi 82%.
Well, this is the thing. Like, look, this happened to us with She-Hulk, right? We saw the first 3 episodes. I like the first 2 because I thought, oh, wait, Marvel's doing a flawed female character. I'm curious what sort of character journey and arc she'll have. Well, she'll come to understand that she's an asshole. That never happened. It's just all justification.
She remained an asshole.
She remains an asshole from the beginning, and I'm like, that's okay. This was my defense at the time. It's okay because Tony Stark was an asshole, and he came to be someone who was a selfish person who became a selfless person and sacrificed his life to save the universe. That's a hero. Okay. Jen did not understand what a hero was, the reluctant hero. And that's part of the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell. That was fine. So we saw the first few episodes, and Alan and I got like that 3rd episode. I really, really did not like. That's where she goes on the date. It was just dumb. But I don't think you can judge a series. I mean, even with Velma, I know you've seen the first 6 episodes, Alan, and there are more episodes to go. What if it gets better?
It can't. It just can't. Again, just like She-Hulk, the whole series is contained, and like She-Hulk, the quality of the writing just got worse and worse as it went along. You talked about not liking the date. The good thing that came out of the date episode in She-Hulk was Madison.
Right.
And so there were moments that were good, and you thought that maybe they, maybe good and bad, they're balancing equally, and then it just went worse. And this show, I can't imagine someone at this point in the series is thinking, hey, this is not working. Let's make changes, because that's not happening.
Well, normally too, with a television show, you want to put your best foot forward, right?
Absolutely.
So the first few episodes are going to be among your best episodes, and generally the end of the season should end strong, start strong, end strong. Boom. So
the whole point of that first episode is you need to wow the audience to have them invest in the rest of the series. If you don't capture your audience right there, they're gonna not go to that second episode. And the Last of Us was just one of those things where it was just like, okay, enough good is in this, enough exciting good is in this for me to give it the second episode.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm bought on the whole series, but I am going episode by episode in there. And after 2, I'm definitely in for the 3rd episode.
Right. So there you go. Let's go to your chat comments and questions here. A lot of comments. Let's okay, I'm going to go to some of these comments here. We're going to stick with comments related to Velma. I know there's some other comments and super chats unrelated to Velma. We're sticking to Velma, and then we'll pivot. We'll pivot there. Can I just say this? I have to put this up on a banner. I am pre coffee here. Okay. So folks, please, your patience is appreciated. Your patience is appreciated. Yeah. But let's get back to Velma here.
Yeah, I'm gonna like She-Hulk is really blowing up in the chat.
Oh, it is. Yeah, exactly. Well, look, it's fine. It's fine. So here we go. David Jacobs, I thought it would be the end credits. Kara says, drunk Madison is better than the main character. Good job. Good job doing that as Obi-Wan from episode 2. Does anyone? Okay. Gandalf identifies as White Wizard, is a member, and says, let's color Alan's room purple tinker. I know that reference. Reference. So there you go. Michael Seagriff, the creatives have neither the ability nor the will to make Velma better. I think here's what I think what it is the ratings are the only thing that matter. But the problem is, because we live in a streaming world, I think it's just very easy to paint the numbers in a way that look positive. And in fact, a lot of people may be watching it because it's so bad. I mean, look, I've watched plenty of things because it's so bad it's good, but it's so bad I can't watch it, right? So bad it's good is like a lot of movies that Troma puts out, and a lot of them are actually very good, like Citizen Toxie, probably my favorite Toxic Avenger movie. And there's the upcoming big budget Toxic Avenger movie with starring Peter Dinklage as the Toxic Avenger. Curious when that is coming out. Yeah. David Glenn says a painted turd is still a turd.
It's a pretty turd, though.
And Adrian Calderos says Alan jumping on that Velma grenade for all of us. Ooh, yeah. Yikes. Any other comments here?
Yeah,
roll through.
Because the feeling I get watching Velma is the feeling I get watching what is it? Asians in cinema, since the 80s. But it's this idea that we want representation so much that we give it away, and this is the result we get from it, which is insulting to those of us who actually like television, like movies. Wish we could be in these movies, wish we could be in these television shows, writing them, acting in them, and all people of color can do is produce this crap.
More comments and questions on Velma. I really want to get to.
Okay, yeah.
Ariel Popperl says, let's be honest, Velma is made that bad, no purpose to cheapen the budget and earn money on hate watching. That's why I'm not watching it. So it's like it's bad on purpose.
Yeah, let's assume that's true. It's a bad business model. It's just a waste of money, and that's the problem with streaming. Is there are no advertisers. It's all subscriptions, and so there's no accountability. I think that's what I'm saying. There's no financial accountability to make the show good.
Let's see. Murdoch 86 Samurai Cop, my favorite so bad it's good movie. Samurai Cop, love it. Toxic Waltz N8, yeah, how come nothing has been released regarding Toxic remake? Didn't it film last year? Same with King Fury 2. A friend of mine saw a test screening with Peter Dinklage as the Toxic Avenger. It's one of those movies they're just gonna think. The problem is they do these test screenings, then they try to figure out how to market it, who the market is. It informs things like, what to feature on the poster. It informs reshoots. So currently, I have no idea. We did publish, and I think I put it, did I post it? I think I posted it in our community tab on the Film Threat YouTube channel. We posted all the releases through 2023, even some 2024 and 2025 releases of movies. Just scroll down our community tab. There's an entire list, and it may in fact be on that list. Shucksy, what about a bronzed turd? That's possible.
No, back to the other comment. Does Lloyd ever do test audiences?
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Lloyd doesn't care. I love Lloyd Kaufman. He's a friend of the show. Troma Films is a friend of Film Threat and has been for decades. Troma also is one of the longest lasting from the 1970s independent film companies. Many independent film. Everyone's singing the praises of A24. Hey, let's see if you'll be around, 20 years and then come talk to us, right? Like for an indie film company to survive as long as Troma has is an achievement. I love Lloyd Kaufman. He's love his just his passion. He is a defender and an advocate for indie filmmakers. And I love the guy. And he leaked to me that he is going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I
think we all knew that.
I'm super excited about that. Yeah. Jinx asks, can young kids watch Velma like I did when I was a kid?
Young kids should not watch it, but if I was a young kid and knew that a TV series had a shower scene full of teen girls and a lot of swearing, I probably would want to watch this.
Well, it is one of those things, like when I was a kid, and this is 100 years ago. When I was a kid, like they would do these warnings before movies, and like, warning, this show contains and it's like, you might as well just tell me not to leave. I'm going to glue my eyes to the television if you put a warning up, because that was like, holy, I'm going to see something. Plus also, like, more adult programming would be on. I don't mean adult, like, pornographic, but I mean more for adults would be later at night. So the whole thing was, can I stay up late and watch some TV and movies where, could get spicy, right? Or suggested.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the whole thing was I used to watch late night monster movies. The Ghoul. Anyone from Michigan remember The Ghoul? I loved The Ghoul. And he had a wry wit and sense of humor. Ron Swede, who has since passed away, my understanding. I love The Ghoul. There's a lot of who I am today is because of The Ghoul. So
yeah, I was a freshman when Porky's came out into theaters, and thinking, I need to see this movie. How do I see this movie?
Yeah. Andrew Montpetit says, I actually think it should be a hard no, not even because of the content, but because impressionable kids would adopt the attitude of the show. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, also it sets up low expectations to kids about what comedy is.
Right. Question: who is the target audience, Alan?
It's Mindy Kaling.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, yeah, like I said, the style of the dialogue is written as if it were for a kids show, but kids can't watch it, and adults. I mean, I like to think that even the most mature of, or at least mature of adults will still find this humor beneath them.
God, that the chat is on fire. So this is great. Normally we have someone kind of filter the chat for us. I'm watching the chat go by. I want to stop doing the show and just go in the chat and hang out with everybody. This is fun. You guys are fun. Over 600 watching us live. Thank you for that. Please subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. We're trying to get up to how much are we trying to get up to, Alan? What's our next milestone?
69,000.
We're trying to get up to 69. We just passed 66,000, but the target is
69.
Yeah. So what?
By the way, I plan to see Avatar this week for the.
Are you good? Okay, wait.
65,000.
Okay, Alan. This is an Alan challenge. There are 2 Alan challenges right now that are ongoing. The first Alan challenge is Alan is going to get the large soda, and go see Avatar in 4DX and not go to the bathroom, and he's going to film himself. And
I know. I was having a hard time at Pathaan trying not to go to the bathroom. So
I went to the bathroom twice. It's 3 hours. Anyways, we'll talk about Pathaan. So that's an Alan challenge. He's going to film it. Can we show clips on the channel? Let's just show clips like we did with the Critics' Choice.
Yeah.
You know how to do that, right? We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I know how to shoot video.
No. Show video. Show video on the thing. The other thing is Alan is going to, if he paints the walls and redoes because we've gotten a lot of complaints about the spare bedroom that Alan is in. A lot of complaints. So if he does that, I will give him a PS5, which he's been complaining about not having one for a long time.
I've always wanted a PS5.
Yeah. Daniel Stenistam says The Ghoul. Which one? The Ghoul who's from Cleveland, who did a show in the 1970s, part of the 80s. He also did live shows. I went to a bunch of those live shows. I'm a huge fan of the Ghoul. He was a late night horror host, and there's documentaries about late night. There was a documentary about late night horror hosts, you know, and he was one of the ones that really influenced me, because he was the most hardcore. He would like build Aurora model kits and then blow them up with firecrackers. He would show home movies. He showed Sam Raimi's home movies on the Ghoul Show. He was a legend in Detroit in the 70s, and I never missed the Ghoul. I stayed up every night. I would watch Saturday Night Live, and I would watch the Ghoul. I loved the Ghoul. So there you go. Let's get more to your chat question.
We did get, we got a super chat that just came in.
We got some super chats. Let's talk Pathaan X McDouchey X. We're going to do that. We've got a couple other movies to review. We're going to talk about Infinity Pool first, then we'll get to Pathaan. So, it's like a 2-hour plus show. We're only 45 in. Showgirls is entertaining, at least, says Davina Duckworth. Now, let me tell you something about Showgirls. There is a brilliant documentary, which is an award winner at Award This. It's called You Don't Know Me, Nomi. Watch this movie, You Don't Know Me. It is a documentary about the fandom around Showgirls, why it failed. It failed at the time. It was one of the biggest box office bombs of the 90s. It's a legendary failure that also went on to become like a cult hit. Like, people have performed, and done like almost like a Rocky Horror Picture Show type of show around Showgirls. Check out that documentary, You Don't Know Me.
Yeah, it's on AMC Plus.
It's on AMC Plus. You can also buy it or rent it, on all the platforms. We also interviewed the director here on the Film Threat YouTube channel. So look up You Don't Know Me, Davina, and please let me know what you think of that documentary. I'm all about the recommends. I wanted to do a show once called Dr. Film. And it would be like a Dr. Phil type show, but it would be myself prescribing movies. Maybe we should do this as a segment.
Yeah.
Tell me what your problem is. I just lost my job. I just went through a breakup. This just happened in my life. Something happened in my life. How do I cope? And I will prescribe you a movie that will help you process your emotions, going through a crisis in life. We'll call it Dr. Film. Should I do a segment called Dr. Film? And then someone, almost like an Ann Landers or like one of those advice columns. So you come to me with like this long-winded, letter, send in a letter, go to filmthreat.com/contact, send me a letter and put Dr. Film in the subject. And I will prescribe a movie that will help heal whatever you're dealing with in life. Wes Roy says, can you believe there was actually a novel tie-in for Porky's? Yes, I believe that. Yes, I totally believe that. Let's go to some. Oh, shoot. I unstarred a super chat here. Can you restar that, Alan?
Yeah.
We're flying blind on a rocket cycle. Okay. Now let's go to your super chat questions before we pivot to talk about Infinity Pool. MK Solid 82 says, Chris, I watched the horror movie The Children 1980 and laughed as I imagined Alan trying to outrun being hugged to death by radioactive kids. I am not familiar with that movie.
The Children
1980. Okay, I am not familiar with that movie, but that sounds pretty cool. I love it. Show the Allens, says Travis Crust for 2. First of all, thank you for the 2. We have retired here's the problem with StreamYard. You can only have a limited number of videos and media that's contained on your StreamYard profile. And we've had to retire. So we took a lot of videos that we used to show last year and we retired those videos. So, but I think I'm sure you can find it somewhere. Unless Alan wants to show us his Allens.
Maybe later. Don't I have
my nipples look like milk duds.
Alan, I think we should delete that one too. All right, back to but yeah, there's just limited space with the videos, and after a while, we feel like some people get sick of them I think there were some people saying you play that video too much. So noted. So Pilgrim Media for 2 says FT, a movie for non-ischemic priapism low. No, but like I seriously thought about like maybe this is like a TV show or a YouTube thing. Is you tell me what your problem is, where you're struggling in life, and I will prescribe movies you should see that will actually help you deal with that.
So I just looked it up.
What is it?
It's erectile dysfunction.
Okay, yeah. Well, Infinity Pool might be the movie to fix that. MK Solid 82 sends in $1.99 super chat. Any red flags about Adam Sessler years ago? Not that I observed, and I would not say anything personal about personal conversations that Adam Sessler and I had. I've seen his just maybe oversharing or being just overly aggressive on social media. I don't understand it. Whenever I see anyone acting out that way, I think they're dealing with something in their life. I know he's had personal issues that he's had to deal with. It's not my story to tell. But I look at I look at what the things Adam is saying on social media, and I think this guy is struggling, and he's dealing with something in life, and I feel for him. So I don't take any of that stuff personally, but some of the things he said are just kind of horrific. And then sort of disavowing being a gamer. I'm like, dude, you built your entire career as a gamer. Now you're disavowing it. I don't know. I think the problem.
I think that's frustration. I think this whole thing has kind of pushed him to the edge to where it's just not fun anymore, and he just wants to get out. That's the sense I get.
Yeah, I mean, I believe he's had some investments and he's more on the sort of business back end side of things. Him being on camera is not something that he really, I think, cares to do anymore. And I feel for him. I knew the guy for years, and it was great. Every time I saw Adam, I would blab to him like, "Oh my God," and I'd talk to him about video games. And I'd say, I'd ask him about games. And then he would ask me about movies. We'd talk to each other. And I always enjoyed having conversations with him. I will say this. My only observation I would say is he seemed much happier when I knew him.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I see in him now is I just don't think the thing that makes me sad is that all of this is happening in public. I mean, we all deal with stuff, right? We all deal with heartache and pain, whether it be career, family, life, our significant other, whatever it is. And I feel like he's dealing with it in a public way, and it's not healthy. And so my heart goes out to him. But look, like everybody who worked at G4 in that era, which was kind of this golden era, which, by the way, I have a movie coming out in April. We're going to announce soon that the date of the premiere for Attack of the Dock, and there will be tickets available to the public to the actual premiere. So I'm excited that you may in fact be going to the premiere, because people, you'll learn a lot. But during that golden era, everybody was just passionate. Everyone was passionate. Everyone was just passionate about whatever their area of expertise was. And it was I'm excited for people to see this movie, because it's more than just about G4. It's about fandom and kind of where we are now and how we got here, and maybe a reminder of that. But with Adam, he's not the same person I knew, and that's all I'll say. And I feel bad. Pilgrim Media says, personal issues aside, burning bridges bad. Well, look, I can't sit here and say to you that I've always made the best decisions in my life. I have said some stupid stuff on social media. I have done things I regret, and I've done things I regret publicly. But I try to be accountable for those things. I generally don't genuinely, I generally don't apologize. Like if it's to a person, like with Alan, I'll apologize to Alan privately. If he secretly records it and then puts it, I would be upset. But yeah,
I'm just saying, if you saw my contract,
yeah, exactly. The film threat contract. I'm like Gary and I from Nerdrotic were talking about this, and I pretty much just do a handshake. It's just like,
yeah,
like I don't know. I'll give you money.
That requires a great deal of trust.
What's that?
That requires a great deal of trust and integrity, which a lot of people don't have. It's you talk about the culture today is the attitude today seems to feel like we're looking for traitors and allies, and we're just taking sides at the moment, and the longer it goes without any attempt to bridge the gap between opposing opinions, the tougher it's going to get to find some normalcy in society.
Well, I'll just say this: I have more complaints about myself than Alan has about me. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say is that I've always been interested. This is weird. I've always been interested in personal development because I had grew up with a single mom. It was my sister and I kind of like looked out for each other. I'm very close to my sister. And we had a rough go going up, but I'm not trying to complain or use that as an excuse for anything, but I've always been interested. So kind of like when I read books, I tend to read like a personal development book or a book that'll help me improve a part of myself, along with I like biographies. I love biographies. Bossy Pants by Tina Fey is a really good autobiography of Tina Fey telling the story of her life. And the audiobook is great because she plays clips of her as Sarah Palin. It's awesome. And if you know a lot of, her autobiography is really good. The one, Yes, Please by
Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler is a really good. They talk about how they started the improv, the IO Chicago.
UCB.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. UCB. Upright Citizens Brigade. Really good. So I love inspiring stories about how people kind of got to the place where they are. And then I like personal development stuff because I just, I know I can always improve, but the Adam situation does give me pause and makes me sad for where he is. And maybe he's lacking a support system. I don't know. I don't know him now. He stopped following me on social media. So if I saw him today, I'd talk to him, but his behavior, that's on him.
Well, I mean, it's sad because his social media persona versus his behind the scenes everyday persona are probably different.
I'm sure that how you see him on social media is not him. But he has an opportunity based on where he is to do some good, to bring gamers together, to try to, and part of and I'll just straight up say it, my not so secret agenda with Attack of the Dock is to make the fan community kind of look at where we are and how we talk to each other and how we, because I think the one problem, if we could solve this one problem, which is can we talk to each other respectfully on the internet in a way where we respect each other's views? Because if we can learn to do that, we can solve bigger issues. But we can't even, in our current day, we can't even talk to each other online.
I think that's the problem there. We should stop talking to each other online and maybe talk to each other in person.
In person would be much better.
Yeah.
But are there any couple more
in there
comments and questions, and then we're going to go right to Infinity Pool because we're on a time crunch here. Personal issues aside, burning bridges.
Yeah, we got that one.
Pilgrimita goes on to say, if you do what you love, you'll never work again. That's where I feel I'm at. I love what I'm doing. Yes, I don't have a butler yet, but I love what I do. I love what I do. I love talking to you. I love covering independent film, and you know, I love what I do. I love traveling and being able to meet a lot of you in person. And I mean, Film Threat is a passion project that sometimes has made me money, lost me a lot of money. It's gone under a couple times. It's true. There's a movie being made about it that's been in the works for like a decade. Hopefully we'll get to it coming out next year. But I'm when I say next year, I mean 2024. I thought Alan was your butler, says Imperfect. No, Alan's not my butler. Alan is
No, I do your laundry and I cook your meals and I build your railroads.
No, you're my driver.
Yeah.
Like the Green Hornet. And yeah, we need a video of us. The Green Hornet. Should we dress as the Green Hornet, Alan?
Yeah,
Like
I protect you. I'm your first line of defense.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm gonna get back in the car. You go beat up those guys.
Man, I wish I was Kato.
Patrick Lemire says, I am tired of ideological purity tests. Same.
Yeah.
Same. Because I'm already preparing to be canceled once my the movie comes out.
Well, the other thing is you can never belong to a group because I mean I've just grown up with this idea of question everything. And because I don't come up to the same conclusion with you on some issues doesn't mean I'm your enemy. It doesn't mean,
Yeah, that bugs me is people, we can have differing views and we can be friends. We can actually engage in thoughtful debate. And it seems to be lost. We try to do it here. We do our best. Diano for $1.99. No, not $1.99. Sorry. 199 pounds sends in a super sticker. We appreciate that. The Green Critic and Ing Kato says CD Stein 69. All right. Well, maybe for Halloween, Alan and I will dress like that.
Yeah. Look, if I could be Bruce Lee, I would gladly be Bruce Lee if I
You got to get those abs, Alan.
I know.
You got to get those abs. I mean, I know you're working on it.
See, now you tell me I need to work on the abs.
I don't think you need to. You look great, Alan. You look great. All right. Let's talk about Infinity Pool. Infinity Pool is directed by the son of David Cronenberg, Brandon Cronenberg. It is very much in the style of a Cronenberg movie. It recently premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. And by recently, I mean like a week ago.
No, like Sunday.
Yeah, like Sunday it premiered at Sundance, and now you can see it at the AMC Burbank 16, which is where I saw it. Alan, tell us about Infinity Pool.
I knew you're going to make me explain this one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it starts a young couple, Alexander Skarsgård, is that right? Him and his wife are on vacation at this kind of Mediterranean location, I believe. More like a Persian location. They meet up with another couple, the woman being Mia Goth and her character. They become fast friends. He's a writer. She's a fan of his. They go out for a day of just beaching outside of their little resort. On the way back, Alexander Skarsgård, his character, runs into a local with the car and kills him. At which point, the next morning, he is arrested for the hit and run, and he is sentenced to death. But in this little country here, they have a thing where they can clone you, and instead of you dying, they will kill your clone. So they'll clone you. They'll put all your memories into this clone. You just give them a large sum of money. They'll clone you and they'll kill you. And right there is kind of, I don't know, maybe we should stop there, but that's the idea of this movie, of this of not being accountable for your actions, because you can create a clone of yourself to reap the punishments, which in all cases is death. And so let's just say it happens again. and it happens again. And that's kind of the idea of the title Infinity Pool. And what kind of what I like about this movie is the same thing I said about the Pod Generation. I like this movie because it takes an idea, this concept, and just plays it out to its logical extreme. And instead of doing it in a science fiction way or in a comedic way, we're doing it now in kind of a horror thriller manner. And I think that's what I liked about it, and what had me engaged in this story of just what happens and how this idea of accountability, personal accountability, justice, so on, plays out.
Yeah, well, it's let me just say this, a couple things. I really like this movie, and I cannot recommend it to you. And here's why I'm saying that. It is dark, decadent. There are aspects of it that kind of feel like Clockwork Orange.
Honestly, this is what Babylon should have been.
Well, I mean, it really goes to a dark place as Alexander Skarsgård's character gets basically tortured, humiliated, and debased, at the whims of this group of rich socialites. It feels like an Italian horror film. It feels like Italian horror. And if you're familiar with a lot of that, it just sort of has this otherworldliness. Also, when it goes into this sort of like, you don't know, like, is this a dream? Is this what happens? There's a point, first of all, for the first like half of the movie, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I really I hate this. This is awful. There's a moment in the very middle of the film, and I can't spoil it because it's beyond the trailer story points, where I went, oh my God, like the movie tricked me into thinking one thing, and it was completely the reverse of what was actually happening.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
The audience erupted. It was a packed house, which I was surprised. They put it in a very small theater, which I thought was a big mistake, but where I'm just like, okay, I'm with this movie. And then it's like, every time you think it's gone too far, it goes even further. And then Mia Goth says this one line where the audience just burst into laughter because it's just so bizarre. It's like, what would you do if you had an endless supply of clones? Like, think of the kinds of things you would do. Would you beat the shit out of yourself? What are the kinds of horrific, debased, horrible things that you would do to your clone, which is effectively you? If you witnessed your own death, how would you feel after? And the character, his name is James Foster, I believe.
Yes.
Is the name of the character. He's kind of a failed writer, and everything goes not just humiliation with regard to the clones, but also humiliation with regard to his career. This group of people who are toying with him and just destroying his just everything about himself, just breaking him down as a man. Mia Goth is just unhinged in this. She's and look, there's a lot of what Alan would describe as
boobs and peepees
in this film. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, there is
quite a bit. Our writer Alex Savalev reviewed this as part of our Sundance Film Festival coverage. I want to see like what Alex gave it a mostly positive review, a 7 out of 10 review, which is pretty good. I was kind of surprised he gave it kind of that middling review. I understand why. Right.
But yeah, I think you're right in the sense of, I found it fascinating, but I definitely can't recommend it to a lot of people.
Oh, this is cool. You can click on this and then you can just get all the Sundance reviews, the most recent Sundance reviews. That's pretty awesome. I love that. But look, I it's one of those things where this movie is not for the faint of heart. Okay. Not for the faint of heart at all. It's, and you see this and you're watching him just being broken down and broken down and broken down and more humiliated and more like, you're like, how much further can this go? I'm scrolling through the front page of filmthreat.com. If you go to there's a little next and previous, and you can just kind of see movies that we've reviewed recently, the 15 most recent reviews. But
I would say if you hated Men, this is the palette
right.
cleanser.
Right. This is, I actually like this more than Men, but this
absolutely.
is in that realm of like, I think Brandon Cronenberg is trying to say, like, how much further can I take the audience? And as soon as you think he's gone too far, he goes further than that.
Yeah.
And then the way that the orgies are like, they're almost portrayed like dream sequences. You're not sure what's real because he's taking this drug that's an aphrodisiac and
a hallucinogen.
And a hallucinogen and an aphrodisiac. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it kind of, so you're like, well, is what's happening now, is that real or a dream? But there's a lot of nudity in this. Mia Goth, if she is not nominated for some actor recognition in the next couple of years, that would be a crime. I mean,
you mean for an AVN award, maybe?
No, she, for Pearl and X, like she is, and I assume she's going to be in the third film in that series.
Yeah.
But Mia Goth, my God, she is ripe to just blow up. She should play Harley Quinn. Someone suggested earlier in the chat, she should play Harley Quinn in the new DC universe. Absolutely. It would be a more serious take rather than Margot Robbie's kind of comedic take where it's like one line and zingers. I don't think that works. I think Harley Quinn is, when you know anything about the origins of Harley Quinn as a character and her relationship with the Joker, Mia Goth would bring a gravitas to that role that's sorely needed. But Infinity Pool, it's weird. I love this movie and I can't recommend it. I'm trying to suggest that you don't see it because I could see people walking out of this movie. I didn't see that happen because I sat very close. I couldn't get tickets. I was in like the third row. So I'm looking at the movie like this. I might even go see it again.
I don't think it's as bad as you're saying it is in terms of the horror, the gore, and I was able to stomach it, which says something about how not gory this movie is. And the other great thing I'll say about this movie is the ending. Not saying what it is, but it's a very Twilight Zone type ending, and I love that it just made this whole movie feel like a complete piece. It's not for everybody, but I appreciate what I saw in this movie.
Well, it's definitely hard R. It's definitely hard R, for sure, because you see full frontal.
Yeah, boobs and peepees. That's right.
Yeah, full frontal on both male and female characters, and just some stuff that's just sort of perverse and decadent and debasing and so it's sort of like, I loved it. Here's the warning: most people will not like this movie. Okay. And my taste is very broad. So, from just like I like everything from Poultrygeist to, Tar. Okay. That's a broad range, an Oscar movie, Tar. And then I like, a good superhero movie. When a superhero movie's good, I love it. I'm there for it. Can't wait. Alan and I are actually seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania on February 13th. We'll talk about it on our Wednesday show.
Yeah, and then I'm seeing the M. Night movie on Tuesday.
I might join you, Alan.
Okay,
cool. All right, let's go to your chat comments and questions about this. Then we'll pivot and we'll talk Pathaan. Jinx says Sundance showed the NC-17 version of Infinity Pool. We talked to Alex about that. There are 90 extra seconds, and I know exactly what happens. It's basically someone. How would you describe it?
I don't know what those 90 seconds are. I did see the Sundance version.
Okay.
Is it near the beginning of the movie when
yes,
where he's
yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean okay. Yeah.
He's being serviced in a way.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more explicit. It's more
explicit. I could see them cutting that out. Yeah.
So
but it's inconsequential, but oh my God.
When it comes to streaming, it'll be the NC-17 version, but they wanted to get a wider release.
Yeah, but it says a lot about the Mia Goth character. Let's just say that.
Ken Bogus for 5 says, why is Alan judging Mia showing The Allens? We'll watch it today. Yeah. So I almost feel like you know what this is? This is like our version of saying, don't go see this movie. It's just like when I was a kid and they would show that warning. This film contains adult situations. Like, I'm all there for it. So make of that what you will.
I'm just saying the Allens are beautiful in this movie.
The Allens are beautiful. Matthew Hammond for 2. Is Infinity Pool the Sixth Day horror movie? In a sense, and different. But I know it. I know the reference. The Sixth Day. Ken Bogus is a member. Mia Goth basically playing herself in this film. Facet.
Wow. That says something about a person's character. If it is.
Film Facet. Everything Chris mentions why he can't recommend Infinity Pool makes me want to see it. Well, I think that's kind of the point, right? I'm just like, this movie's not for everybody. Sifak says Mia Goth was great in this, but overall a 6 out of 10 movie. I think Alan gave it a 6 out of 5, if I recall correctly.
No,
So,
Alex or no, I give it.
I'm joking.
Yeah. I would give it an 8. I have to think about it more. I'm not officially reviewing it, so.
All right. Well, Sifax gave it a 6. Alex Savalev, our reviewer on Film Threat, gave it a 7. You're giving it an 8. I would say probably a 6.5. Don't read into that. Aaron Taylor says David Cronenberg evolved as a director. Crimes of the Future was a lackluster return to the genre, which he hadn't really visited since Existenz. Yeah, I was not a fan of Crimes of the Future. This is much better than Crimes of the Future. So in a way, Brandon Cronenberg is channeling his father and doing old school Cronenberg.
Mm-hmm.
And Cronenberg is doing new school Cronenberg, which I actually happen to not like all that much. I was not a fan of Crimes of the Future. Very strange film, which might age better with time. I think movies like Videodrome, when it first came out, aged well. That would be a movie I'd love to see, like a follow-up to Videodrome, using like social media. You could see, you can see sort of some of the ideas that are the seeds, because that's what I love about Cronenberg's movies. And The Fly, probably his best film in my opinion, with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. Love that movie. Love that film. It's romantic, beautiful score, tragic film. Brandon Cronenberg. I like this much better than Possessor. Rida Ibn Muhammad says, I liked Infinity Pool. Not everyone's cup of tea. It is creepy, mysterious, shocking. And if you go with people, you will not stop talking afterwards. Okay. Mohammed, this is what happened to us. We left the movie and couldn't leave. We were going to like go to the bar after. We just stood outside the theater for 20 minutes and talked about it. So we talked about different things we noticed. Wow. Yeah. It's so, I don't know. Is that like, I actually think that's an endorsement. If you
I think so. I mean, I'll just say this. That's what movies should do. It should engage you. It should make you think, and it should make you talk about it afterwards, because it leaves enough open about the subject matter to where you now think, well, what would I do? Or what about this? You know,
right.
That's the movie going experience that we should be having on a weekly basis.
Because in particular, in this situation, it's like a moral dilemma. You have accidentally killed someone on an open road in the dark with a car. What do you do? Do you report yourself? Do you drive away? All of like the best sort of horror thrillers are all put the lead, the protagonist in a moral dilemma. And then what does that character do?
Mm-hmm.
And Alexander Skarsgård, you've just not seen the depths to which he is pushed in this film, and the situations he gets himself in, being toyed with by these group of sadistic elites.
Yeah. And this is a far cry from The Northman.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, you know, in The Northman, he wrestled someone naked. And in this movie, more of that. Pyrene Dream says 6.9 out of 10. 6.9.
69.
So, Alan, geez, it's so weird. It's so funny. Now I can't even look at that number without like thinking of you. I just got my bill from Costco, my Costco credit card. And what was that number? The number was
69.
It's weird. It's weird. Solomon Thornton says, when I think Cronenberg, I think Scanners and Videodrome. What a film. So there you are. and Film Facet says, I have been waiting for Infinity Pool. It looks great. And Mia Goth is my new religion.
I think you're gonna like this one.
She is. I will see anything with Mia Goth now. I will see anything with Mia Goth. She is just spectacular. Because she's not, you have no idea what she's capable of, like on screen, right? She'll do anything for the role. And you know, I don't know. I especially if you know, if you saw Pearl, that 5-minute, you know, monologue she gives is just riveting. She's just talking and she's riveting. So there you go. Patrick Lemire says, Naked Lunch really grew on me and I didn't care for it originally. That's the thing that I've always loved about Cronenberg's films is they kind of germinate in your brain. He interjects ideas that make you think, and Infinity Pool certainly does that. It's so weird how Brandon Cronenberg has taken kind of the best aspects of his father's career and his father's oeuvre, so to speak. I don't get to use the word oeuvre so often. So, but he's almost doing his father's movies better. Jinx says, JNNX says, Normie Lamers ruined 69 and 420. Yeah, they did. Darn them. Tom Siebert says, are there any rising young actresses who seem endorsed by Hollywood who aren't weirdos in horror flicks? Between Mia Goth and Anya Taylor-Joy, it feels like all the hot newcomers are freaks. By freaks, I mean in a good way. Like, are they freaks like off camera? Like, I don't know anything about Anya Taylor-Joy or Mia Goth's personal life. Don't know. Also, don't care. I really don't care about the personal lives of celebrities. I don't follow it. I don't care. It's not of interest to me. But you know, what they deliver on camera is important. And I think Anya Taylor-Joy is just as capable of turning in an Oscar-winning performance in the right film. I don't know that The Menu was necessarily that. And I don't.
She's perfect. She's perfect for the menu. She's perfect for the menu.
She was perfect for that movie, but it's not like the kind of role that gets her nominated for an Oscar. But thank you for your thoughtful chat, comments, and questions. And now it's time. We're gonna pivot. We're gonna pivot to our next review. We need like a video to play while I get it set up. So then you come back from the video, and then
you need a commercial. We need sponsors, basically.
Right. We need like a commercial to go to or whatever. But let's go to this. Here we go. Here we go, folks. Alan and I both saw Pathaan, which is an action film. I think it's more than an action film. It's an action film series with some beloved characters and actors that I am currently unfamiliar with, but love it.
Yeah, I mean, this felt like a sequel.
It felt like a sequel. I saw it in a packed room with a bunch of obviously fans. I think, again, I'm the only white guy at the screening. Don't care. This movie is an over-the-top action movie. Over the top. This is the kind of movie that if you gave Michael Bay infinite money, he would have made Pathaan. But what I love about this film is just the level of ambitiousness. It has everything you would see. You talked about it earlier, Alan, before we started the stream. It's like what you wish James Bond would do. You know, there's betrayal. There's, you know, secret organizations from different countries. They work together. Sometimes they betray each other. And Pathaan is the lead character that is this smoking hot dude with killer hair. He even makes comments about his hair in the movie, trying to stop a plot involving a killer virus. And they even mention they even comment on current times. Let's just say, I'm not going to go into detail, but they comment on things that have happened over the last couple of years. I can't imagine any other movie that would get a wide theatrical release or even TV show that would mention and talk about recent events the way that this movie does, but they talk about it. The plot is super simple. You know, it's things that you've seen in a lot of other James Bond and or action movies. Hey, we've got to, you know, break into the building to get the safe, to grab the thing, to get the virus, to save the so-and-so, to save the city. Real simple to follow. What makes Pathaan stand out to me is the level of ambitiousness of the action scenes. There are fight scenes on the tops of vans carrying very important scientists with like 2 helicopters strapped to the van with 2 guys duking it out, Pathaan and his nemesis Jim. And you know, you know what I love is when they bring out a character. When they bring out a character, they don't just bring on like Jim. It's like Jim like emerges from a car, and it's like, duh, and his hair is like perfectly coiffed, and he's like walking in slow motion, and he's got and there's like music that's just nothing is done with any sort of like casual whatever. It's
no,
like
what's funny is it's Jim.
yeah, Jim.
And then they're waiting for his henchmen, Kyle and Eric.
Yeah, exactly. Well, these are the English. I mean, I saw it.
This is not English. His name in the movie in the original Hindi is Jim.
Jim. Well, it's interesting. They sometimes speak English, even with the subtitles, right? The closed captioning.
Yeah, like half the movie, like I would say 10% of the movie is in English, and it's just casual conversation.
But it's which I found really interesting. But what's great about it is every character entrance is da-da. What's the name of the woman who's she's so good. I have to like
it's Rubina. Yeah,
Rubina. Yeah, she is. First of all, stuff you're not going to see in a lot of action movies. Being made by Hollywood these days because we've desexualized everyone. This movie, and I mean this as a positive, is hypersexual. And I mean, like, it's not like there's nothing graphic sexual in it. There's no nudity, but the women are sexy. Bikinis, G-strings. They're having like a bikini outdoor party on the beach. You know, the men
where she changes her bikini 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. And then like Pathaan like is like walking around like he's either shirtless or his shirt is like wide open to here, showing off his abs. There are more abs in this movie. Eric Weber needs to see this movie and do a physique critique because like everyone in this movie is hot. It's in the way that like and hypersexual, men and women, and great, good. I love it. Why are we embarrassed about like you've seen almost an effort to desexualize women in films, in particular like Marvel movies do this. They don't want the women to be sexual objects. You know, they don't wear like the high heels and whatnot, and just like, you know, it's I guess all about stripping Chris Hemsworth naked. In this movie, it's just unabashed. Everyone is sexual. I'm saying this as a positive. The men are muscular and fit and like it's great, but the rivalry between
let me just say what I find interesting also is no one kisses and no one has sex.
Well,
it's just hot women in bikinis.
But it's all done in a way. It's all done in a way that's innocent. You know, like you would see in a Star Wars movie. Is there romance? Yes. Is it sexual? No. But all the characters are hot. But this rivalry between Pathaan and Jim, they get in these fights, like, and also like he gets in fights with henchmen. There's like a fight on the top of this van with 2 helicopters holding it. You're going, oh my God. Like, it's just, the action is like, well, how far can we take this? Let's take it super far. There's another fight scene with henchmen on top of a train.
Yeah.
It's just insane. There's a heist where they've got to like go on the side of a building and break this glass to get into the thing, to get it's all easy to follow stuff, but it's so over the top. You're like, oh my God, it's like a Mission Impossible movie meets a James Bond movie. And it's like the action, it's never boring. The movie is like 2 hours and 53 minutes, not a boring minute. It just flies by. And there is an interval. They call it interval. Is there intermission? But they didn't play the intermission. As soon as it went to the interval, I thought, well, I'm going to the bathroom in this. But Pathaan is tortured in this thing. I mean this in a good way, that you'd want your lead protagonist to just suffer. And his rivalry with Jim, it's just, you see that there's like a history there. What was interesting was, and maybe some people in the chat can help us out, this is clearly like a series where these actors have been in other movies playing these characters. But God, I loved it. Strong recommendation for Pathaan. It is still in theaters. It opened on Wednesday. I saw it opening night Wednesday. It is playing, I think, for about a week, because I checked beyond a week and I don't see it playing beyond a week.
I think they're just doing it week by week, so there's a good chance it'll. If it's, I mean, my theater is packed, but if it does well, it'll continue to roll just like RRR did.
Well, my theater wasn't just packed; it was the over the top reaction, like woo! Certain characters come out, people clapping.
Yeah.
I was laughing and clapping like the whole time. Now, to bring it down here for a second, Pathaan is no RRR. RRR to me is filled with heart, an emotional journey. It's about, you know, the real history of India, but like if it were a Marvel movie. they amp it up. SS Rajamouli amps it up. The director here is a guy named Siddharth Anand. And wow, this guy, I want to see other films that he has done, because this guy is amazing. He made a movie, obviously he made Pathaan, a movie called War, Fighter, Bang Bang, Salam, Namaste. So this guy's got an action film history. So loving his stuff, but it's not as emotional, or it's not something, you know, you can take as seriously as RRR. So is Pathaan wildly entertaining? Yes, but it doesn't need the heart. It's more comical. There's a lot of jokes, like there's a lot of humor in it that's very, and what I love about this film is it's very universal. Like, who doesn't love action, women in bikinis, shirtless men beating the crap out of each other, riding on, like the end just gets so, there's so much like once you think you've topped an action scene, it's like, no, we're going to take it further. Like, it's just, there's an action scene at the end where they have these rocket packs fighting in the air. That's just nuts. But like, it's the third act. You're like, all right, going. And I'm not giving any spoilers, just giving you a taste of what you're in store for. But I cannot recommend this movie enough. It's like, and you look at it, and I got in a conversation with a woman who was a college professor who sees these films. Her name was Nikki something. I'm spacing on her name. Anyways, she was just saying like she was talking about how Hollywood movies suck, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I say all the time. And she was just saying, yeah, they can't make movies like this. Hollywood can't make a movie like this, because Hollywood would be criticized. Like, why does the woman do this? Well, who cares? You know, who cares? She has the female character, like, she's not a damsel in distress. And there's a lot of twists with her character, but like, you know, she's also sexy, and she uses her feminine wiles, so to speak. Like if this movie was in English, made by an American studio and released as a big blockbuster, the mob would go after it.
But it will make a lot of money.
But it would make a lot of money. This is why studios need to stop, ignore people on Twitter and what they think. Go see Pathaan. It's my strong recommendation. I want to go to the chat and see what your chat comments and questions are. John Manilang, who is a member, thank you, John. Pathaan, definitely in my must-watch list this year. Must watch. John, go see it in a theater. It's in theaters this weekend, but I think it's gone next week.
No, I mean, I think if enough people see it this week, they will extend the run. So I don't think this is a 1 week run.
Right. Rahul Ray, did y'all hear reports of SSR approaching some Hollywood stars for the role antagonist in his next venture? No, I have not heard that. That's great.
As long as they're the white stars, am I right?
Yeah, the white guys make great villains these days. Hey, it's good work. And the villains are always the better roles. So there you go. But the villain in here is Jim. I love Jim. Pyrene Dream. It's like most of their movies are inspired by the writing of Stephen J. Cannell, for sure. Mike MC Wong. Mike, how's it going? How you doing? Mike, Indian movies do not allow kissing or sex scenes, but they wear really revealing outfits. It is just physical contact that is forbidden. It just seems like, here's what I don't mind about that. There's an innocence, right? There's an innocence to the relationships. There's clearly romance. There's clearly attraction, but Yeah, I didn't miss it that it wasn't there. Let's just say.
I mean, that's what I was saying to you earlier. I mean, it just made me miss the old Roger Moore days of Bond. You know, the seduction, the misogyny. You know, the just the over the top action in this movie had it. The scene that I loved the best of the action set was the frozen lake and the motorcycles.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, that was such a great scene.
Oh yeah. There's this just to Alan, I'll get to your comment in a second. There's this scene on a frozen lake where two guys are on motorcycles. They're chasing down this virus that's contained in this,
these balls,
these giant sort of sphere type things. It looks like a roller ball, and
that's what I thought. Roller ball.
It's insane. And the female character, I forget her name. It's Rabina. Is it Rabina?
Rabina, yeah.
Yeah, she's doing this high-speed skating. I'm looking, how did they film this? Obviously, a lot of the stuff has to just be green screen. It's all green screen. It's got to be. But like, holy, I'm looking at this. And of course, the ice is cracking. Someone's going to fall in the ice. It's going to just go. And everything, it's every action scene goes further than you think it could possibly go.
But that's just it. I felt like as much as I like the Daniel Craig James Bond, it just went too serious, too grounded. I'm kind of left me wanting to go back to that over the top action, and these over the top world domination plots, which this is the James Bond that I've been waiting for over a decade.
Right. Quick comment here. Big Jan Kanal says, watch War, movie of Tiger Shroff and Hertak Roshan. All right, War. It's on the list. On the list. And Alan Horkin says, well, I will say, Alan, this is something we probably both should have done. Wikipedia claims Pathaan is the 4th installment in the YRF spy universe.
Yeah,
right.
I felt that. Yeah.
All right. I want to see, I've seen the 4th movie. I want to see more. Thomas Pickett for 5 says, I'm not sure why Hindus are protesting Pathaan in India. Can somebody explain? What's weird is because I'll look at like on social media, you'll see Indian films. People get very passionate. They are reporting like box office. If you look up Pathaan right now, they're like, this movie KGF Chapter 2 was a bomb or was a failure or it's big. There's a huge rivalry of different Indian cinemas, say, the Tollywood, Telugu movies, the Bollywood movies. And there is like a great dance number at the very end of the movie during the credits. There's like, they're singing and dancing. I loved it. But yeah, like clearly I knew when I was sitting with a packed audience and every time a character came out that people would cheer. I loved it.
I wish all American films force their lead actors to sing and dance at the during the credits.
No, I thought the credits, it makes you stay for the credits.
Yeah.
Which I thought were great. It's just like, hey, we're going to just celebrate and have a good time. But I don't know why. Maybe someone can answer that question. Why are
it looks like I'm looking it up and it looks like it's an issue. It's kind of like Hindu versus Muslim type of conflict.
Yeah, because there are
I don't think the Muslims don't like the portrayal of Islam and Muslims in this film.
Because there are Muslim characters in the movie. What's also good about this film, it's a reminder that, hey, the whole world doesn't revolve around like us here. Right. There's all sorts of other things happening in the world. I mean, Is India the most populous? It's the most populated country. It surpassed China.
I think. Oh yeah.
Is that right? Because China for the first time experienced a dip in their population.
Yeah.
By 100 million. Wow. Is my understanding. And my understanding is India kind of has now surpassed China in terms of population.
Well, the opening of the movie does kind of get into the long time conflict between India and Pakistan.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just interesting to see again the world outside of the United States, and realizing, there are other conflicts out there, and they're handling it a lot differently than we are.
Yeah, exactly. So your other comments, Rahul Ray says the cameo in the train scene is the character Tiger, which started this franchise.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
That's why.
Okay.
That's why my entire theater erupted at that moment.
But look, if you can see it, if you're going to go see it like with a packed audience. Like I say, but the thing that did bug me, the crowd was It bugged me and I loved it. The crowd was unruly. And I mean this in a good way. People were kind of on their phones. One guy's phone rang and I had to move. I'm like, I'm not sitting next to someone who's going to have their phone ring in the middle of the movie. So,
yeah, my theater it was all Indian except for myself.
Right. But it
was
an
all Asian audience.
Now you know how I feel, Alan.
No, I'm saying it's an all Asian audience. But yeah, it was just interesting to see the reaction when certain characters would show up.
Right.
Certain lines were being said or certain comments about, India. And it's like, okay, I'm clearly out of the picture on this one.
Well, I will say this. I'm not complaining. I love when there's a movie like this, you want audience participation. You want the audience to be super excited.
It's a lot more fun when you're with fans who are watching the movie.
Crab Hat says Pathaan is a Bollywood movie. So yeah. But it adds to the experience of seeing the film. Is people that are familiar with the genre. I didn't know. So I feel like I am being educated with this stuff, but I really, really enjoyed this movie. A fun action movie. It's no RRR, but well worth seeing in a theater. And if you can see it in a theater with a lot of people, definitely do that. We have a special guest that's going to be joining us shortly. We're going to be joined by Jeremy Andorfer to talk about his documentary, One for All, the DJ Chris Villa story. He'll be joining us shortly, but I want to see if I can get in a review really quick of a movie called Virtually Heroes. So let me tell you about Virtually Heroes. Virtually Heroes stars Mark Hamill. And by stars Mark Hamill, he's in the movie for about 5 minutes. But it basically is the story of two characters fighting a war in an undisclosed Asian country, two white guys who are trying to rescue a girl and dying over and over. And it's very quickly you learn these are video game characters. This is like that Ryan Reynolds movie, Free Guy, but you don't get to see the other side of what's happening on the other side of the screen. You are simply stuck with two video game characters that somehow become self-aware. They know they're video game characters. They're playing like a Call of Duty type of game in this undisclosed Asian country. Mark Hamill ends up being a mentor dressed in a brown robe. I wonder what they're trying to make him look like. It is a very hammy, cheesy cameo for him to have. And this movie is super low budget. It's one of the credited producers, executive produced by Roger Corman, which to me is credibility in my book because I love Roger Corman. But this movie just goes through, of course, what happens, typical things you would think happen. They attack this village, they get killed. They attack this village, they win, they get points, they go back into this room where then they load up, they see additional weaponry and artillery, and they kind of absorb it into a backpack. It's all the cliches of playing a Call of Duty game, but it's shot, obviously it's shot, live action. What I found, first of all, I was ready to hate this movie and loathe it. I found it kind of entertaining. I'm not going to tell you it's the greatest movie ever, probably a 5. But I was mildly entertained by the fact that if you're familiar with all of the cliches of playing a video game, like saving your game, dying with, extra lives, like it sort of falls into all of those. And I'm sure the filmmakers, it looks like this movie was made years ago. And I'm sure when Free Guy came out, it must have disappointed the filmmakers to see that like someone, they took our idea. But this is not Free Guy because you never see the other side of the screen. This is just two video game characters that are self-aware. And it's 90 minutes. It's super short, easy to get into. I quite enjoyed it. I don't know if we have a review on the Film Threat website, Alan.
I have the review. I don't know that I published it yet.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But who reviewed it? Bobby Lapierre?
Dan Liebarger.
Dan Liebarger. Okay, cool. It's entertaining. It's probably, a 5 for me. But like as a movie that like was made at that level, I found it really entertaining. just because it doesn't. Here's why I enjoyed it. It didn't take itself too seriously. Did not take itself too seriously. It knows, this movie knows it's dumb. This movie knows Mark Hamill's in the movie. This movie knows, and Mark Hamill knows, I know you want me in this movie because I played Luke Skywalker. Sure, I'll wear the brown robe and mentor you. So I actually quite enjoyed the film. Like I say, not a resounding recommendation. It's no Pathaan, which I would rate like an 8 or above. But Virtually Heroes was entertaining for what it was. And if you play, the thing is this, if you don't play video games, you will not like this movie. You will not like this film. If you are a frequent player of video games, you are going to really enjoy it, and you'll get all the jokes, because most of the jokes are for people who play video games, in particular Call of Duty type games frequently. So just a mild recommendation out here. If you see this movie, it turns up on Tubi, or you want to seek it out, you'll have a really good time. Alan, did you see Virtually Heroes?
I did not see Virtual Heroes.
That's okay. I did. I took care of it for you. Let's go to the chat.
Yeah, I saw Velma.
Oh, no. You literally jumped on the grenade. Someone mentioned earlier. You jumped on the grenade for the entire Film Threat team in that. So there you go. Doc Savage says, I liked Mark Hamill in The Guyver. Well, I did as well. Let's see. Will Alan be on EFAP 250, the 72-hour stream, says the Captain's Log for $1.99 super chat. Thank you for that. Alan, will you?
I don't know what that is.
Captain's Log, you don't need a super chat again. Can you let us know what that is? We'll star your comment.
But the answer is no at the moment. I don't know what that is.
Doc Savage says, does Hamill try to kill his own pupil? No. That doesn't happen here.
Can he move things with his
I will say
mind?
this. Mark Hamill's not in the movie for very long, but he's better used in this movie than The Last Jedi. Let's just say that. He's just his role is like obvious, and he fulfills that role. It's just short. Will Rock 07 says, I actually helped write the music for Virtually Heroes. Spent 10 years waiting to actually see the film and get proper confirmation my music was actually used. Haha, it's been a good week. Yeah, no, the music is good. Like, oh, wow. So this movie, Will Rock 07, first of all, congratulations. Your credit is on IMDb. Yeah, this movie did seem like it was shot a while ago and it's been sitting around. But it's
I mean, they've been the press notes we got was this is the lost Roger Corman movie.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't read the press notes. A lot of times I don't like to read the press notes because I find that the press notes that come from publicists, I'm going to be frank here, the press notes that come from publicists can be manipulative. They can be manipulative. So I'm not a fan. I tend to ignore them. But Will Rock, congratulations. Hey, the music, it's great. It's, in fact, what I love about the music, it's totally in keeping with the theme of the movie, video games. It totally, that aspect worked. So, like if you see Virtually Heroes, like I say, if you can look for it. Is it on? Can you look it up, Alan, on Just Watch?
Which one?
Virtually Heroes.
Actually, it would be on the press releases we got.
Yes. And we have, we're going to be getting to our review in just a review, our interview for the day here. Jeremy A. Lopez is waiting in the wings. He's in our digital green room. He's going to be joining us in just a moment.
It's currently on VOD. It's on VOD because it came out 10 days ago. So they probably run the VOD thing out and then put it on some.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's good. Anyways, Alan, 8 seconds. Yeah, I didn't do that. Wait, I have to do it now. Now that you've reminded me.
Oh, you have to do it?
Alan.
What I'm doing? What do you
Alan, where can people see? Is it only on VOD? Can you see it on TV?
VOD.
Where? Like what platforms? Alan.
Yeah, let's try Vudu and the Amazon.
Alan, 10 seconds, Alan. Alan, come on, Alan.
You're milking this bit, but Hold on. Here we go. Here we go.
Look it up. Look it up. Alan, 10 seconds.
Cut the blue wire, then cut the red wire, but
Alan,
only if
please.
the third wire is yellow.
Alan, I know you can do it, Alan. Do it.
Pull the flange.
Hold on, Alan. Hold on.
69.
Alan, 1 second. Perfect.
Sparkle.
What? Did you find it?
Yeah. Okay. So Voodoo, YouTube, Redbox, and Apple TV.
What about Amazon?
Doesn't say Amazon. It could be on Amazon.
Could it? Is it
Yeah.
on
Would you like to play the music? And I'll check this one out.
Is it on Amazon, Alan? Is it on Amazon?
Oh, dear.
Let's look it up. Amazon.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
Hold on.
Is it
It's
on
not.
Amazon?
It's not. No.
It's not on Amazon. All right. Well, there you go. Hey, let's introduce our next guest. Jeremy A. Lopez is the director of a documentary that is out. Well, he's going to tell us. I don't need to go to the music. He's going to tell us exactly where you can see his film, One for All, the DJ Chris Villa story. Director Jeremy A. Lopez is here to join us. Jeremy, thank you for joining us today on the Film Threat Livecast. Over 500 people watching. Your doc is out today. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Good to be with you.
Cool.
Yeah, so the doc, it's not out yet. It's going to be out in February. So it's going to be out on Amazon Prime Video. So having everybody follow the Instagram page at DJ Chris Villa Doc, and for news and updates. But yeah, it should be out in February.
Cool. Tell us about the documentary.
Yeah, so it's about this phenomenal DJ, Chris Villa, and his story. He went to high school, went to the same high school in Arizona, and he's just a phenomenal talent. Was been the official DJ for the Phoenix Suns, Arizona Diamondbacks, this year the Arizona Cardinals. And when we shot this documentary, he had gotten accepted to this worldwide DJ competition called the Red Bull Freestyle Championship, and he was one of 6 U.S. finalists. So out of all the DJs in the U.S., they only picked 6, and so we kind of followed his journey to that competition in Philadelphia, and yeah, it's an awesome time.
And it's what were some of the first of all, a lot of the people in our audience, there's like 500 people watching. Please post your comments, questions for Jeremy here. Look, I have a documentary myself coming out in April. It's another documentary I've been working on for a decade. What were some of the challenges that you faced in doing this documentary? Because I really want to help, like, for those watching in the chat and watching us live, like, you need to know, making a documentary, like I say, most documentary filmmakers I meet don't have butlers. You're probably not going to get rich making a doc. It is a work of passion. So what drew you to it, the subject, and then also, like, what were some of the challenges in getting the movie made? Yeah,
man, those are some great questions. Well, this is my first documentary, my first feature directing. So it was a whole new experience. I was drawn to the story just because I had, Chris was friends with a bunch of my sisters, and they always used to go out to where he was playing. I would hear about him, peripherally. And I'm like, he's got a big following, and it might be cool to shoot some with him about him. And that was before the Red Bull Freestyle came up. So, the story kind of came together, as soon as we found out he got accepted. We're like, hey, this is a great anchor to the piece. And, the challenge with the documentary, especially one that you're following live events, is that you don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know what the story was going to be, really until the editing room. But, as you're shooting, you're just trying to capture moments and things that might help you later. And, in this case, it was funny that, Chris got out of the 6 competitors that night. He got picked to go last. We didn't find that out until Philadelphia. So kind of cinematically, it really lended itself to a great story. So, yeah, I not knowing what was going to happen was probably the biggest challenge. And then also dealing with people that aren't used to being on camera. I tried to, when you're doing interviews and whatnot, it's not first nature to answer a question using the question so that, you don't have to use the interviewer's question. And so trying to coach people through that, but then also not wanting it to sound rehearsed and wanting it to feel natural and, let whatever came up come up.
So
One
you were
challenge-
like, sorry, Alan. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll say one challenge I felt like you had was the fact that Chris is pretty much a nice straight edge kind of guy. He doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs, he loves his wife, doesn't philander. Do you think there was a challenge? Do you think there was a challenge there in telling the story of a great guy who lives a good life?
No, I mean, I was intrigued by that because I didn't know Chris very well personally until we started shooting. I was finding out a lot of this stuff, and I just really was amazed at his just his values and his his dedication to his craft, and that's what it is about for him. I think the stereotype that I had in my mind, because I don't follow DJs, I'm not in that world. So the stereotype I had in my head was, the guys that stay out all night, party, doing drugs, philandering with the girls and all that. And, and it's a career that is fraught with pitfalls. And he has managed to steer clear of that and just focus on the music. And he's got just incredible talent. I mean, it's one thing to see him do his thing on his videos and stuff on social media, but to see him scratching live, and it's mind blowing. So
yeah, I mean, to me that's what works about your documentary is the fact that you capture, because I don't know much about DJs, but to see the art at the top of its form in your documentary is fascinating for me to know. Oh, now I get why people are into this kind of music, into the whole DJ scene as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I made this from a perspective of not being in that world, so I stayed away from all the technical things that I frankly didn't care for, but I was more interested in him as a person. And music has the unique ability, I'd say singularly unique ability, to unify, more so than film even. And that's something I saw. Chris has just an innate talent for doing that, and it was apparent in everywhere I followed him to. He and his knowledge of music, he plays a lot of different styles and genres, and so he's able to just bring it all together, and people fall behind him. It's incredible to see.
And I see it on the front page of Film Threat right now. Right now.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, guys.
It got a good review. Let's go to. We have a bunch of comments and questions from our audience watching live. So do you mind if we go to some of these questions here?
Awesome.
Let's do it. Okay. Tree of Woe says, how does a DJ competition work? How does one win?
I can't speak to any other ones except for Red Bull 3 style, but they have 3 judges in this case. I think sometimes they've had more, but they judge a DJ set. They do a 15-minute set. They judge them based on originality, the technical skills like the scratching and mixing, the crowd response is a component. I think there's a couple other criteria that all go into the final score. And in this case, the winner of the U.S. finals, it's a worldwide competition. So you have winners from, I think they had 25 different countries in this year. And they got to go to the world finals in Taiwan. So that was the prize that was on the line.
Another question here, another comment from Aries Aurelian. Can already imagine the magic DJ music in this, as a comment there. Creepy Dan says, how do you tell what is worth capturing when filming a doc? I find myself filming too much useless stuff. So a question from a fellow filmmaker. Yeah, how do you do that? And also, you might miss something if you're not always filming, right?
That is such a good question. There was more ended up on the cutting room floor than ended up in the film. I mean, you shoot probably 10 times as much footage as you actually end up using, and you can't be precious with your edit. You really gotta filter out what's really important and narrow down, especially in documentary, you really got to figure out what is the story you're trying to say. I mean, I could have gone down any number of tangents with this, but I really had to force myself to focus, and because you have a lot of good stuff that you can't use. So, it's, I wouldn't say anything's useless, because you never know when you're going to, need a insert shot or something to, at the competition, we had 2 cameras there. So it's impossible. I was running around and, we're trying to get shots from different perspectives. And there was a few times that both of us are trying to find a shot at the same time. And when you're, in this case, I was trying to have a seamless edit to bounce between cameras, and, you had to use an insert shot or something to keep the story going.
A question about the music clearance. They're saying in the chat, music clearance must have been a nightmare. Portland 182 says, can you talk about music licensing?
Yeah,
fierce. Like, how did you...
The film, I'll just say the film features a set involving, is it Billie Jean, I believe? Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so can you talk about the music?
Yeah. How did you...
Sure. So, yeah, well, you guys we're talking about, court cases with free speech and whatnot a little bit earlier, and it kind of leans into that. So there's a thing called fair use, and, you can, I didn't use any of the music for a soundtrack or, for anything that I wasn't specifically referring to in the film. So, it is, was a challenge. We had to kind of go back and forth and see what's usable. But, if I were to pick that Billie Jean song and use it as an opening title sequence, I wouldn't be able to do it. But showing Chris in, the radio station playing, scratching to the song for a portion that's about his career in the radio station, that's where you're okay and you're covered under fair use.
Cool. I'm not sure I understand this question, but maybe you can clarify. Spidey Sensei 72 says, actually DJs with turntables and vinyl, or the ones that use Serato. So it's different types of DJs.
Well, they were, Chris definitely uses turntables and vinyl, but I mean, Serato, I'm not quite sure how Serato works and what's its function. Sorry, Serato. But I heard that they were one of the sponsors of Red Bull 3 Style, so I'm sure these guys are using Serato. I think that's a software program, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Well, Imperfect says fair use will get you locked on Twitter. I wasn't aware of that, so yeah.
Neither was I.
And so I'm just looking for other questions here. People just seem interested in the movie. I personally am a huge fan of music-related documentaries. We actually have a category for it for our award this show, because I think you can't. There are certain types of even documentary genres within documentary. Documentary is just a different way to tell a story, like animation. Animation can be so many different things. But I love music. There's music docs. There's social justice and social issue docs. There are, pop culture docs that, my film falls in the category of pop culture documentary. Some other comments and questions here for you. Ramina Jones asks, he has Serato there on the laptop. Turntables is the mechanism to utilize it, or you can use CDJs. So maybe it's a combination of both, using programs and using vinyl as well. So,
yeah, and like I said, I didn't get too deep in the technical side, and my knowledge is limited on that end. But there's some parts in the film where Chris is prepping his set, and we kind of go through his process to how he comes up with what he's doing, and he's using some vinyl there. I don't know if it's just to scratch on, and he's probably laughing watching this right now that he doesn't know what he's talking about. But yeah, no, that's good to know. Thanks for that, Ramina.
Campos Sergio says, how long does the story span? How long was the filming? Greetings from Switzerland. We have international viewers. So
awesome.
Greetings from Pasadena, California.
Hey, Campos. Yeah, I'm in LA too. So we shot probably a total of 6 days. We spent a few days in Arizona following Chris around to some gigs and interviewing family and whatnot. And then we were in Philadelphia for 3 days, I think, shooting. The competition was just one night, so we did some supplemental stuff around there.
Cool.
So pretty short, independent, low budget film,
Cool. And then Fletcher Williams has a technical question here. Fletcher asks, what editing software did you use, cameras used, and since you travel a lot, how did you choose how to color correct to set the same tone? I'll just real quick say, I've gone through the color correction process. I love it. Color correction and sound mix. Your movie's done when you've locked picture, color correct. It's like, oh my God, it's a real movie. But there's always challenges, especially when you're doing a lot of field shooting. You can't control the light. So can you talk about editing software and the cameras you used?
Yeah. Shot on, I edited on Final Cut Pro, and we shot most of it on a Red, I think it was an Epic. And then at the competition, I was shooting on a Sony A7 II. And the color correction, yeah, I mean, that's worth its weight in gold. Luckily, the Sony A7 just has gorgeous picture and color already. And anybody who's thinking of shooting their own film, I mean, do not underestimate the power color correction. And so we budgeted for that, and I feel like they were able to match it pretty good. And there's the company in Burbank. Shout out to Color Space Finishing. They do a phenomenal job, and they work with a lot of independent film, and they really can make your DP look good. It's amazing the things that a good color corrector can do.
Yeah, it's that's when it's becoming a real movie. I love it. A comment here, Cavatino Cavalryman Shay says, Serato lets you use any sound or song on file to manipulate on the vinyl record or mixing device.
Yeah, because most modern songs are not on vinyl. I think that's why that exists.
Creepy Dan has another follow-up here. Any tips on how to keep yourself motivated through the process? Was the story always clear to see, or was it something that changed along the way?
Man, this is making me feel a lot less alone, because man, yes, and yes, man, this was a long process, and mostly I like to blame, hey, resources or legal or whatever. But at the end of the day, a lot of it was me sitting in front of Final Cut Pro and just being like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know which shot to use, or, which clip of dialogue. And yeah, I think I had such a profound respect. I have such a profound respect for Chris and his family and his story that it was going to get done. I felt like, I was honored to be entrusted, because he's a quiet, he's a pretty private guy, and it took some convincing to get him to do this in the first place. So I just was really motivated to keep pushing through. And eventually, you stew on things, you sleep on things, and you get through blocks, and it, usually comes together.
I feel like most films die in editing.
Yeah.
Or come alive. Or come alive.
That's true.
We've got like a really good final question here for you. This is the one question that everybody wants to know the answer to. My Kingdom for a Film, who's a member, thank you for that. This may have been asked already. It hasn't. How did you raise the funding for your film?
Yeah, well, that's the perpetual problem, the perpetual challenge. We self-funded. We at least to get through production, and that's, if you're shooting a film and you can at least raise enough to get it shot, it's a lot easier to get finishing funds after that. And we didn't spend a lot of money to do it. We didn't have a lot of money to do it, so we just did the best we could. But we definitely, needed some help on the back end after, and it's just, putting a pitch deck together and reaching out to people that who might be able to believe in the project and throw a few $1,000 in. But we didn't crowdfund for this one. That I've also seen that be effective. But but yeah, luckily we didn't need a ton to get us across the finish line. So,
and I know how challenging it can be with, like, once you get to that phase, the color correction and the sound mix, you're looking at, FYI, on the minimum for a sound mix, $5,000, on the minimum for a good color correction, $5,000. And you're going to spend a lot more too if you go through different passes and whatnot. So that's like baseline. That's like just someone who is just a guy out of his house doing color correction. They're really good, talented people that do that. So it is not a cheap process to finish. Not just that, legal. I'm going through the legal process right now. We could have a whole conversation about legally clearing your movie so that you can actually sell it on all the platforms. And Jeremy, can you let us know, like, what platforms can you get One for All, the DJ Chris Villa story? Where will it be available in February?
Yeah, sure. It's going to be on Amazon Prime Video to start, and then be on Tubi and Google Play and all the rest of them shortly thereafter. So
cool. So put it in your Just Watch file and check it out when it comes out. Jeremy, great to have you on the show.
Yeah,
so
guys.
You got to make it. I'm a huge fan of, like, documentaries made by someone who's passionate about a topic, and having gone through the doc process. I made an archival doc. It's very different than a doc where you're in the field shooting and capturing a live event as it's happening. So, more power to you, and congratulations on the movie. Congrats.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Cool.
And where can people find you if they want more information? You mentioned your Instagram earlier.
Yeah, the film has an Instagram page at DJ Chris Villa Doc on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then I'm Jeremy A. Lopez on Instagram, and best way to follow us for news and updates.
And Creepy Dan sends in $2 super chat, says, thanks so much for the answers. Great wisdom. Awesome.
Right on.
Cool. All right. Take care, Jeremy.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Later.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Really good guy. Really good guy. Yeah. I'm so glad we got to. I love music docs. So
this is a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, from half of it is Chris at work, and the guy is exceptional. And the other great thing is his wife Tara. She is like 1,000% behind her man, and you could just tell that she's all into his work, how great he is, and has a few things to say about his competition during that DJ competition.
We're planning our award this show, and I do know that we have a music doc category. Award this. We're going to announce a date. We'll announce a date before the Oscars. It's the only award show you can buy a ticket to. Only award show you can buy a ticket. So you'll look if you come.
And maybe this will get nominated.
Maybe this will get nominated. I would say that based on the good review on Film Threat, should probably be on the short list. But we've got some final super chats here that we did not get to that are not related to the topic. Matthew Hammond asks, what is your favorite music doc? Tom Petty's Running Down a Dream doc was so great and long. Matthew Hammond for 5. I'm sorry we missed Jeremy with that. Alan, your favorite music doc?
Oh, hey, come back to me for a second. Trying to think.
There are so many good.
Yeah, I mean, just going off the most recent, it's the Beatles Get Back documentary from that's on Hulu or on Disney Plus.
Gotcha. My favorite documentary is music documentary, Montage of Heck. It's directed by a guy named Brett Morgan, who also did the Moon Age Daydream David Bowie documentary. Montage of Heck is about Kurt Cobain. They interview, most of the people involved with Nirvana. They unearthed and went to a storage container that had all of Kurt Cobain's like scrawlings, like notebooks from high school where he was drawing like stuff, his old Super 8 films. Montage of Heck, and it's really hard to see because it's not available on any streaming platform. It is only available on Blu-ray. I have the Blu-ray of it. It is my favorite documentary, music doc, because you get into the head of Kurt Cobain. This is Spinal Tap, really good.
I think that's my favorite music doc.
Yeah, there you go. Few more super chats here. We'll get to them. La Chevalier du Lise for 5 says, did you see the Nines with Ryan Reynolds? I think they might be in a video game. I don't remember that one. The Nine. You, Alan?
No, I've never seen it. It's 2007. It's a long time ago.
Enrico Palazzo for 5 says, which one of you drew the short straw and will be reviewing the new Magic Mike?
I think we're both watching it.
No, I think
You're
here's
not?
what we should do, Alan. Let's do, okay. There's still almost 400 people watching. We're going to do a poll in the chat. Who should go see Magic Mike, the new Magic Mike movie? Alan or Chris?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And let me remind you of the great work Chris did reviewing Bros. And then I think that this would be the perfect film for Chris to follow that up with.
Yeah, so Magic Mike. Magic. All right, no. When we leave, I'm gonna do a poll. So, within minutes of the stream ending, I'm gonna do a poll. Who should go see the Magic Mike movie? And I'm gonna you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna vote Alan.
And I'm gonna vote Chris.
Okay. Let's see here. Back to your comments, and we just have a few more left, and we're gonna wrap it up today, folks. And my apologies. Yeah, I think everyone wants Alan to go see it.
No, the chat seems to say you. So
okay, so Doc Savage says, does This Is Spinal Tap count as a music doc? I mean, it's a music mockumentary.
yeah, it's shot like a documentary.
Yeah.
It's just everything's staged. That's the
And Party Pucks for 5 says, Chris, I remember saying you hung out with Noah Cowan at TIFF. That's the Toronto International Film Festival back in the day. I sent you a tweet about his passing today. RIP, your thoughts. Well, I'm just learning this now from your super chat. I knew Noah Cowan in the 80s. I mean, I'm sad to hear him passing. I have not spoken to him in recent years, probably in the last decade, more than a decade. He was always kind to me. He was a kid when I knew him. Wow. Okay. I'm processing this now. So, man, kind of at a loss here. But no, I knew back. He was a kid. He's probably around my age. And so when I was going to the Toronto Film Festival back in the 80s, he was a kid who ran the Midnights program. And it's like, oh yeah, you do the midnight movies. So I personally love the midnight movies. They're more my vibe, not the sort of pretentious, Oscar bait stuff. So I would go to a lot of the midnight movies. They were just more my speed. And that's how I knew Noah. And then when I would come to the Toronto Film Festival, when I would run into him in the festival circuit. But that's, I'm really sorry to hear that. I have not checked Twitter today, but I'll check Party Pucks.
Was he a filmmaker or was he just
No, he was worked himself up from being just a kid working the midnight program to, basically being the director of the festival. No, and also he was in various positions related to TIFF, but I'm really sorry to hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Your final comments here. Tree of Woe says, I want Chris and Alan to watch it together. Not an option. That won't be an option in the voting. Spaceman.
It'll probably be a Velma Daphne situation if we saw it together.
Spaceman. Alan drew Velma. Chris gets Magic Mike. Did you star that?
Did I? I don't know.
Kara says, Chris, Magic Mike 1 wasn't that bad, and Alan watching Velma. All right. My Kingdom for a Film, asking for a friend. Are you looking for more critics, writers for Film Threat? We are always looking for more writers. I think we're really, Alan's very busy. He's the person who runs that. The way to do that is to go to filmthreat.com/contact, ask to be a writer. Alan will see your
There's an option on the form, by the way.
Right. So like a pull down, you'd say, I'm interested in writing for Film Threat. And if you are, send a message to Alan and Alan will get back to you. Sorry, I'm still processing the Noah Cowan news.
Yeah.
That's like big news in the film festival world. He was quite the figure there, worked himself very successful. So, I'm just this lowly guy that does Film Threat and makes a movie every, decade or so. I'm trying to make
It sounds
films.
like he paid his dues at the festival and was able to work his way to the top, so to speak.
Yeah. But hey, I want to say thank you to everyone out there in the chat. Thank you. I love when we bring on an indie filmmaker and you participate in our Q&A and you get the opportunity to discover a new independent film. I love when that happens. Alan and I next week, we're going to see Knock at the Cabin, right?
Yes.
Knock at the, I always keep
Knock at the Woods? Is it
Knock at the Cabin? Knock at the Cabin. It's just called Knock at the Cabin. So Alan and I are going to be seeing that on Wednesday. A lot of big special guests next week. We have Christian Toto is going to be joining us on the live cast on Wednesday to talk about an article that he just wrote. And I can't wait to discuss this article. Alan, I'll send it to you. And we also have
the Sundance one, or is it something else?
Different. David Desmalchin is joining us a week from today. A week from today, he'll be talking about anything you want to talk about. David Desmalchin will talk about his character Kurt in Ant-Man. He'll talk about Dune, where he plays Peter de Vries. He'll talk about Polka Dot Man. Character actor David Desmalchin just launched a new production company. Also, he has a new movie coming out where he plays the Boston Strangler. His career is blowing up. I predict, I'm saying this now, David Desmalchin will be nominated for an Oscar at some point in his career. He's also a character actor that did many memorable roles in, he was in The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan. He was one of the henchmen of the Joker in a very memorable part where he's interrogated by Harvey Dent and the Batman. It's a very memorable scene. David Desmalchin joining us. So next week is a big week for us. 2 really big special guests. We may have some filmmaker special guests. Anything else coming up that people should know about? Check the Film Threat website. Go to filmthreat.com. Check that out.
Yeah.
Alan, what else you got?
We're just kind of completing our Sundance Slam Dance coverage. I mean, we have a few more days to be able to watch Slam Dance films. So you can actually subscribe at Slam Dance channel. And I did finally get to see Love Dump. It's hilarious.
Oh, you like Love Dump?
I love Love Dump. It's just so subtle in its takeoff on these Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
So go to filmthreat.com. There's a tag you can click that'll give you all the coverage from the festivals. If you're in San Diego, I'm performing tomorrow night at the National Comedy Theater. That's it for me.
Cool. All right.
And I think I'm doing Lorena Creel's live cast on Sunday.
Just follow Alan on Twitter at mypalal. He'll tweet all about it.
Yes.
And he will thank you when you follow him, which still annoys me. I haven't brought it up lately, but it really, I'm so annoyed every time I see one of those.
Truth be told, I shut it off. So.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. Maybe that's why it hasn't bugged me lately. Is it because you're getting too many followers?
I'm like, I had it there because I would get maybe 1 follower a month. And now thanks to you guys, and I thank you for your support, I'm getting at least 2 to 3 a day. And so I figure, okay, let's not get too ridiculous with this.
All right. And thank you. We'll see you next week. Films to talk about, big special guests. We appreciate it. And Alan's dog will be back. Alan, take us out.
Let's get out of here.